So this is just going to be a whole lot of rambling bullshit. Starting, and it's just no structure at all to this, no order, no method. And so starting with a conversation I had with a friend, and again, there's no point to this.
You can't apply for the CERB because you're on ODSP?
What kind of therapy?
You know, I'm asking, like, you can't apply for the CERB, like the COVID benefits, because you get ODSP?
I'm sure I can apply for it. What, you got the COVID cure?
Yeah, I get approved, yeah.
Okay. They don't have a cure yet.
No, not a cure. It's like 2,000. They send you money.
Oh.
Really? Yeah. You apply for it because
if you're out of work.
So instead of EI, they're giving people a lump sum of 2,000 for every month, I think.
Wow. Well, I mean, you have to prove that you're out of work, that you've lost money, right?
No.
No.
Nope. It took me 5 minutes online.
And what did you have to write?
I just had to give them my SIN number, like set up an account on CRA, Canadian Review Agency.com.
Mm-hmm.
Give them your SIN number, and I think the money you made last year. Like, did you do your taxes last year?
I did my taxes.
Yeah. So then you plug in how much you made, and then that's it. Bob's your uncle.
Well, I mean, I'm not suffering, though. I'm getting the same amount of money, so I don't see why I should get it.
People who are still working are being approved.
Okay, well, I'll look into it.
Isn't that fucked up?
Well, that's the problem with people, is that they'll always take advantage. So, yeah, have things calmed down with my neighbors? Not really. I put my air conditioner in, though, so I can't hear them anyways. I'm just barricaded in. So, I don't know. I know that one of my neighbors called the fire department the other day for no reason. And the fire department came and they said, don't ever call us again, even if your house is on fire.
Well, they called them on you?
No, I don't know why he called them. He just likes to cause commotions. He just likes drama.
Wow.
Well, it reminds me of when Sadie called the cops on her boyfriend. And the cops are like, are you going to press charges? And she's like, no. And they go, why'd you call us then? And she goes, I just wanted to scare him. And they're like, well, that's not why we're here.
Wow.
Yeah, just call the ambulance, if you got nothing else to do today. And tell them that you were just checking.
That's so stupid.
Yeah, and somebody's actually dying. And somebody's house is actually on fire. There's an actual crime. So how many people are dying because people are calling for no reason?
Yeah, so like you keep crying wolf, like they're not gonna come.
Well, it's just like the race card. You keep playing the race card. Well, then when someone actually has a race card, like a need for the race card, nobody's gonna care.
Yeah.
So that's great. Oh, Amber Heard might be going to jail for falsifying bruises from Johnny Depp.
Oh wow.
She put makeup on. It's so funny because like a girl that got beat up by her boyfriend, and she just it's just like she's got some skin tone differences, but like there's no like fat nose or anything. Not like what Rihanna looked like. And also witnesses say they've seen Amber Heard. They saw her around that time with no bruises at the same time that she had to put the picture up that she claims that happened, and she even showed up on like talk shows and stuff during that time with no marks. So she's an idiot. Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I didn't tell you, not because I'm like ambushing you.
No, I just want everything that I say to sound really cool and inspiring.
That never happens anyways.
Hey, what?
I'm joking. I'm saying you're never inspiring or. Anyways, I'm doing well. I'm just high. My life hasn't changed. I've been socially distancing for 3 years, so no difference for me. It's hard for people who are used to going out and partying and stuff and going to stupid concerts and acting like idiots and getting laid with strangers.
Yeah, that's not practicing social distancing very well.
Well, no, I'm saying they're going to have a hard time during this because they're used to going out and acting like idiots.
Right. And going to the clinic to get rid
That's right. Anyways, I'm glad you got approved for the money. It's good because you can't really work, especially considering your industry, right?
Well, yeah, I'm going to switch fields. So I'm going to try to see if I can make money working from home on my laptop. I don't know.
No, there's things you can do.
English or like travel agent shit. I mean, obviously it's not going to help me right now, but at least like if I can learn about it, to have it in my back pocket.
Yeah, I don't think things are going to go back to normal anytime soon. Like, this is going to be like 2 years.
Oh, don't do that.
Well, my mom even said, like, this might never be back to normal. Like, this might change the world forever.
I agree with her. Like, things are never going to be the same, but just, like, in a way that people, you know, at least a couple years, like, especially for this industry and, like, socializing outside and restaurants. Holy fuck, I feel bad for people I know that own restaurants.
I kind of feel happy, though, because I'm bitter. But, what was I going to say? You know, I think it's just funny. It's like a wake-up call. Like, oh, you didn't give a shit about the environment. Well, the virus is the environment, and now you're all fucked. And, you know, now the stock market's taking, now we should take, methods. Now we should take precautions. And it's like, okay, now are you going to take pollution seriously, maybe? Or are you going to wait for that to explode in your face, too? You know? Because that's going to come next, like maybe in 10 years or something. And then the stock market will crash again. And we never saw this coming. And the scientists will go, yeah, we did see this coming, just like we saw COVID coming. They've been warning about viruses for 20 years.
Taking this opportunity to build bomb shelters and shit.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be crazy people, and there's going to be money to be made right now by people who are assholes as well. But I just think conspiracy theories are usually just a safe way to look at things so that it seems more like it isn't such a problem, like it isn't a pandemic, like shit isn't out of control. Like, it's easier to say that, like, the Jews control everything. But the truth is, like, people aren't that smart. They're not smart enough to think of a virus like this or to, like, put it into practice, or, you know, for America to bomb their own World Trade Center. I don't know.
Oh, yeah, that was, yeah, that conspiracy theory, what they were talking about, how, because it fell so
perfectly,
yeah, perfectly.
Yeah.
And there was, like, bombs on the four structures, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Or whatever, yeah, that was a bit too much.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, I don't know, it seems a little bit more logical because control the general population.
Sure. I just don't think they're that smart, and I don't think they're that organized, whoever they are.
You don't have to be organized or smart to pull it off.
If they were smart, they might be smart to do something like this, but I don't think they're smart. You give them too much credit. It's something I would do.
Funny.
Yeah, if I was in charge, I would fake the moon landing, and I would bomb my own World Trade Center, and I would, spread a virus all over the place. Sorry?
Yeah, for faking the moon landing, like, I know that's a different type of conservatism in the moon landing, and, you know, Elvis was alive. Wait, Elvis was alive. How old was he?
What?
I'm just getting a little, well, not off topic, but segue. If Elvis was alive today, how old would he be?
How old who would be?
Google. Hey, Google, if Elvis was alive... Oh, it doesn't work when I'm on the phone with you.
If I was in charge of the world, I would, the first thing I would do is hire, a team of scientists to invent a virus to wipe out everyone. And I'd work on it for 20 years, and then, but I don't think anybody else is that malicious or devious or pinky in the brain, Playing it what? So it wasn't that amazing. I only do YouTube videos when I'm drinking. I woke up today sober, and I'm like, I don't want to make videos. And the reason I haven't made videos in the last few days is because I haven't been drinking. But today I'll drink, so today I'll be on YouTube. I had a dream last night or this morning where Charlize Theron gave me her phone number, and she kept calling me and texting me to come over. And I'm like, okay, I'm trying to get there. And then I woke up and I'm like, oh shit. So that sucked. It took like a few minutes to just get over the fact that it wasn't true. But she is the exact kind of person, if I had 5 minutes alone with her, she'd be like, she'd want to produce everything I ever did. She'd get all these, she'd connect me to everybody. I had a similar dream a week ago where I was dating Sienna Miller, and then she cheated on me with Jude Law. We were at a sports arena, and I was sitting in between them, and then she goes, she's like texting on her phone, and she goes, I'm just going to the bathroom, and she goes, and then he goes, I'm just going to the bathroom too, and he goes, and I'm like, something's going on. And now I really enjoy horror movies, and I like women very much, but I also like making fun of them. So I like making fun of the stupid way that they talk when they're teenagers. So I'm just going to mock this scene. Not in a negative way, but in a fun way. So this movie's called The Girl in the Mirror. I have no idea how bad it will be. It might be kind of good. But again, the great thing about horror movies is it doesn't matter how bad they are, they're still fun to watch. So a woman hangs herself. It's shot pretty well. But then the next scene is a little bit disconcerting because it really looks cheap. But where the girl hangs herself at the very beginning, it's done pretty well. You just see her feet. Oh, and she pissed her pants after she hung herself. I assume. All this water came out. Maybe her water broke? Maybe she was pregnant? When reality is fractured, evil is born. I guess so. Okay, here we go. 1 year later. A couple girls enter a house. Here we go. What are we doing here? I always wanted to come in here.
And now you've done it.
And now you've done it.
Already, this place creeps me out.
This place creeps me out.
We're wasting time.
We're wasting time.
Let's get the rest of the stuff and get out of here.
Let's get the rest of the stuff and get out of here.
Are you really scared?
Are you
really? For real?
like really for real?
A girl died in this house.
A girl died in this house.
That girl died in this house. I'll prove it to you.
Like, are you really for real, or like just kind of for real? I'm sort of. Look at this place. They're looking into an oven or something? It's a mirror.
How did you know this was here?
How did you know this was here?
Didn't.
I didn't.
I wasn't sure.
I wasn't sure.
They say a girl killed herself in front of the mirror.
They say a girl killed herself in front of the mirror, staring into the mirror. She killed herself, and if you stare, you could see her in the mirror.
That's stupid.
That's stupid. We came all the way here for this.
What are you doing?
Take off your shirt.
Take off your shirt.
Why do I have to show our tits? Do you need a reason? It's for the website. Oh, boobs. Their boobs are coming back in horror movies lately, I've noticed. And now they're pressing their boobs against each other and smiling for a selfie. How close does this get to porn? When is enough enough? I've seen horror movies where the guy's like sucking a girl's tit, and I'm like, that's porn, man. That's not acting. And who needs to see that? Like, every frickin' horror movie has a girl in the bathtub taking a bath. What? She's killing the girl. She's killing. What the fuck? So they take a selfie with the shirt off, and then the one girl stabs the other girl. Well, that's kind of cool. Now what? She goes up to the mirror. And she goes, she's ugly. Oh, she slits her neck. Was that part of the plan? Well, I guess she was possessed. It was the girl in the mirror that did it, obviously. And now title, The Girl in the Mirror. Well, isn't that nice? I think that's enough torture for whoever would listen to this. Truth is, I think people need social outlets during this virus. And this YouTube, especially this video, is just an attempt to be social. I would be doing it even if there wasn't a virus, because I don't really socialize anymore. The reason I became a writer was because I was sick of trying to explain things to idiots who don't even value when you have something good to say. So I'm just like, I'll put it in a book then, because nobody's listening anyways. I'll put it there for posterity. You should be grateful that I've got thoughtful ideas, but in public, in real life, people are idiots. In a perfect world, if I was surrounded by intelligent people, I wouldn't need to be a writer. I wouldn't need to create art, because I would feel like I've expressed myself enough when I speak to somebody. Like, they understand, and they listen and whatnot. And I'm watching this movie right now where there's some creepy guy hitting on a girl, and I'm like, oh God. And I'm like thinking, it's so hard already to hit on girls without basically, it's like some girl says to me, don't worry, not every girl is like Amber Heard. I'm like, yeah, that's true. But also remember, not every guy is like Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby. Not every guy's a rapist. And when I say something like, oh, like this Me Too movement has gone too far and it's made it hard for me to even, like, I don't even bother talking to a girl anymore. And they're like, oh my God, that's such an unimportant thing compared to rape. It's hard for you to hit on a girl now. It's like, well, it actually is pretty frustrating if you don't feel like you can engage with the opposite sex. I mean, that's pretty frustrating. It isn't a small thing, first of all. But the thing is, like, before the Me Too movement, it was already hard enough. Like, boys in high school are afraid to ask a girl to dance anyways. They're just afraid of being rejected. So adding this to the mix, that you might get accused of rape, it's like, okay, well, forget it then. Why bother? So okay, have it your way then. Harvey Weinstein ruined it for all men. Now men can never talk to girls again. And Amber Heard ruined it for all women, where men don't want to talk. Even if they could, they wouldn't talk to women again. So, like, I think it's kind of funny. So on one side of the camp, we got women saying that men are all rapists. And then on the other side, we got men saying that women are all liars. Nobody wins. Everybody loses. I remember I had this friend, and he did display signs of rape tendencies. And when I say that, I mean, like, he's not my friend anymore. He didn't take no for an answer, ever, in any circumstance. Like, let's go to see a movie, and I'm like, no. And then he just asks 10 more times. I consider that, like, the kind of way a rapist thinks, like, it doesn't matter if someone's saying no, all that matters is what I want. Anyways, I introduced him to a female friend of mine, and he goes, you obviously are, having sex with her, or you obviously have a crush on her, or she has a crush on you. I'm like, no, it's just platonic. And he couldn't accept that, like, at all. It was inconceivable to him. I mean, if I've got a problem with women, it's that I treat them too much like equals, in the sense that I don't even, it's like asexual almost sometimes, my relationships with them. That's how far away from, like, rape I am. I'm actually more comfortable in the friend zone. That's like the first thing I go for with women, is friend zone. Now, I tend to be more on the man side of the argument, just because I'm a man. I don't know what it's like to be afraid to walk down a dark alley. I don't know any of these things, right? So that should be taken into account when one wants to say, oh, you're being so close-minded. Like, well, how the hell am I haven't lived it. I guarantee you Christopher Reeve didn't give a shit about stem cell research until he got paralyzed. It's not because he doesn't care, it's because he just didn't relate to it. I don't give money to leprosy. I don't fight for against leprosy, because I don't have any experience with it, and that's fine. And that's why it's okay to educate people, and you don't have to call them ignorant, right? I don't understand what it's like to be transgendered. That doesn't mean I don't give a shit. It just means I can't relate. I don't have any Indian friends. That doesn't mean I don't give a shit about racism against Muslims or whatever. It just means I don't know. And it's okay to inform me. It doesn't mean I'm an ignorant piece of crap. And generally, I'm not a self-pitying sort. I don't think it's that bad being a man. I don't think it's hard. And most of the females that I know, that I hang out with, they don't think it's that hard being a woman. They don't run on self-pity. I wouldn't even, if you asked me how is it hard to be a man, I couldn't think of a lot of ways. And you know what? Most of the females that I hang out with, you ask them how hard it is to be female, they wouldn't be able to think of a lot of ways because they don't think about that kind of shit, and they actually think about how they're empowering. They don't think, oh, every man, I'm afraid all the time, and guys don't think, oh, I don't think, oh, it's so hard to like get rejected by a girl. I don't give a shit, and it's not that hard. But anyways, but I gotta say, I don't have self-pity, but when someone turns around and wants to compare me to like Bill Cosby or Harvey Weinstein and say like, oh well, you shouldn't have talked to her at all, or and when you say things against the Me Too movement, you're basically the same as Harvey Weinstein, or you're on his side. Then I get angry, and then I start to say fuck you, and I start to say shut the fuck up, you silly twat. Like, do you really think that most men are on Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby's side? That most men think they're good guys, and that they they did nothing wrong? There's no argument here. We know that rape is bad. It's fine. It's understood, at least by most men. Obviously, it'll never be understood by people like Harvey Weinstein or Bill Cosby. But you're preaching to the choir, so stop treating us like we're not the choir. My number one example is Henry Cavill, who was asked a year and a half, 2 years ago, what he thought of the Me Too movement, and he said, well, I don't even bother talking to girls anymore because I don't want to be called a rapist. And then he got in a lot of trouble for that, and he had to apologize, right? Now, what do you think that did to him? I think he's going to be even... Now, not only is he not going to talk to girls anymore, he's not even going to talk about how he can't talk to girls anymore. But the thing is, that's his answer. They asked him, what do you think about the Me Too movement? And I guess, like, the bottom line is, he's thinking, in my perspective, my experience, how it affects me is that I'm not going to talk to women anymore. He didn't say it's bullshit. He didn't say anything like that. It just, personally, it doesn't affect him, aside from that. Like, what's the right answer to that? What do you think about the Me Too? Oh, I think it's great that rapists are getting outed. And it's a powerful thing. Okay. But he didn't say he didn't think that. He just said, personally, like, it's a drag for me. This is how it's a drag for me. How does it affect... I mean, he answered the question, I guess, how does the Me Too movement affect you? That would be the perfect answer. I don't talk to women anymore. And you know what? Look what happened to Johnny Depp. You're a rich, good-looking, A-list actor. I think it's very dangerous to talk to women. Extremely dangerous. Not because women are bad, but because psychos are drawn to money. Okay? Of both sexes. Right? I dated a feminist once, and she really opened my eyes to a lot of these subjects. And this is basically 10 years ago. So this is not new to me, this whole issue. And she would say she was a man-hating branch of feminist. Because there's good feminists and bad feminists. This was a bad feminist who was raised by her mother to hate her father and to hate all men. And she believed men were inferior. She would say that outright all the time. Like, she enjoyed putting men down on a constant basis, which I think is very sick. But one thing that she constantly said was that men aren't allowed to call themselves feminists because they're not women. And only a woman can be a feminist. Only a woman can understand the cause. And I agree to a point. I mean, if she was going to go from there to like logical things, like, I can't fight for blacks in terms of like, say I'm black. I understand there's a limit. It does get ridiculous if a white person's going around or a straight person's going around like fighting for gay advocacy, like Lady Gaga. Like, that's a little bit, it's hypocritical. You got to wonder where is she really coming from? She's just exploiting this movement. But in the case of this Fruit Loop that I dated 10 years ago, just for her looks, that's all. She was actually pretty smart, but she was messed up in the head. You're not allowed, if you're a man, you're not allowed to even speak on the subject of feminism. So, I mean, you're essentially just closing down men, shutting them down. They're not even allowed. And then let's just go to the nth degree. Then they're not even allowed to talk to you. That's fine. I mean, you really just, It's like every other battle, the blacks versus whites or whatever, or gays versus straights. If you don't let them even like comment or ask questions, then essentially, like, don't be surprised if you alienate them further. I mean, there's a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. You know, you call someone a murderer enough times, you say, I know you want to punch me, I know you want to punch me, I know you want to punch me. Eventually, you start thinking, I want to punch them. And then you punch them. I shouldn't go in this direction, but I will. Okay, so, the Jewish people, their beliefs. One of their beliefs is that they're the chosen people, and that they're going to be oppressed by everybody, all the time. Apparently, I don't know if this is a fact, because I'm not Jewish, I don't know much about it, but I was told this. That's their belief. So correct me if I'm wrong. I shouldn't even talk about this because I don't know the truth. Okay, I'll just say what I heard, and then you can tell me I'm full of shit. But it's one of their core beliefs is that they're the chosen people and that everybody's going to oppress them and torture them and destroy them and attack them. And the thing is, if that is true, then they've got... It sort of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where they're going to position themselves in such a place where people are going to oppress them. If you got an exclusive group, and you're not going to mingle with other people are going to tend to get annoyed. It's also like this Dostoevsky story where he's like, I think it was the beginning of the Devils or the Brothers Karamazov, where some girl, some woman lived in a picturesque house at the edge of a cliff. And it looked like such a picturesque house by a cliff, where the cliff looked like the kind of cliff in stories where some tragic girl would plummet herself off of. And so then she orchestrated her life in such a way that she would, there would be enough drama and tragedy that she would plummet off the cliff. But it was all because of the cliff. It just got this idea into her mind that she was tragic, etc. I guess like it was like a salesman thing is like 33% of your door-to-door salesman. 33% of people are yes people. They're going to say yes no matter what. 33% of people are no people. They're going to say no matter what. So you can't even convince them. But 33% of them are maybes, and those are the people that you work on. That's what your sales abilities are for. And I would say the same for any kind of dialogue on any subject. If the person's already decided, then there's no point in talking. And when you say something like, you're a rapist, if you for saying that the Me Too movement is going too far, you must be a rapist, you're shutting down all dialogue. It's over. And it works both ways. If you say women are all liars, then you're cutting them off. So what's the solution? The solution is obvious. Everybody knows it. Cut off these nut jobs. Put all these liars and rapists together on an island. When they already are together on an island. They're just fighting each other. And I'm just idly drinking and mocking them in the comfort of my own home. And I'm just, some of us have fun making fun of them. We're all, like, people like me are all in the category of George Carlin wannabes, I suppose. Although I don't think George Carlin was that good. I just agree with everything. I simply agree with everything that he says. But yeah, we're observing and making fun. We're comedians. But otherwise, I mean, they don't have any power anyways. Like the Amber Heards of the world and the Harvey Weinsteins anymore. I mean, Harvey Weinstein's power's gone now. And now every man is terrified, and that's good. Well, no, every rapist should be terrified. And every liar should be terrified of lying. That's absolutely appropriate. I mean, truth is, I'm not really adversely affected by any of this. I stopped going to bars anyways before the Me Too movement started. I don't think you're going to meet a good, decent girl in a bar anyways. And even if she is a decent girl, she's not going to be decent when she's drinking. And she's not going to think that you're decent if you're drinking and you're in a bar. It's just the wrong place. So you're not going to meet an intellectual. And if you do, they're not going to be acting very intellectual. I was terrible with women before the Me Too movement came along. They already looked at me like a rapist, so it's no different. And I never wanted to rape in the first place, so that's not that. My urge to rape hasn't been stifled. I mean, if anything, all this shit has been wonderful. Like, I love seeing people who acted like they were perfect, like Bill Cosby. I like to see them exposed, because that, like, moral authority, he was a moral authority. You know, these people who are moral authorities now, like these SJWs, they have more in common with Bill Cosby than with the people that they're attacking constantly. You gotta be seriously fucked up to go around saying that you're perfect. And a lot of people do that exact thing. They don't admit it, but they do. They're afraid that if they admit to being wrong about one thing, it's like they're wrong about everything. Because they're so terrified of fucking up, screwing up, failing. No, I love seeing the Hollywood dream blow up, turn into a nightmare. Because it always was one. And nobody should have believed Tinseltown. Nobody should have believed that these are the beautiful, happy people, and they're all good, and we should be more like them, and you should be like a fashion model, and you should look up to, who's a perfect example? Look up to Lady Gaga. Look up to, Beyonce. Look up to George Clooney. That's what you want to be. You want to be somebody like Bill Cosby. You want to be someone like, who else is perfect? Oprah Winfrey. She's perfect according to herself. You know, I'm wondering, why am I citing mainly women? Because I think they're mainly the outspoken ones. Yeah, you want to be perfect like Bruce Willis. See, he's not really outspoken, but he has said enough dumb things that I know that he thinks he's perfect, or wants to think that he's perfect. And yeah, no, it's a nightmare being Bruce Willis, trust me. If you're intelligent and you're ugly and you're broke, you're in a much better situation. Your life is much better than someone who's good looking, with no integrity, and has lots of money. And you know what COVID fucking reminds us of is that just like Steve Jobs, the king and the pawn both end up in the box at the end of the game. Steve Jobs with his billions of dollars didn't save him. He's gone. See, I'm in the unique situation where I'm not nouveau riche. I stayed, when I was a kid, I stayed in the Hotel Excelsior in Rome. I stayed at the Savoy in England. And the beds only get so fluffy. It's not a big deal. I slept on the floor for a year. I was like, okay, fuck the bed. I tried to buy a blow-up mattress, and it kept having holes in it, in air. And then I was going to Home Hardware and buying patches to patch up the. And the thing about a blow-up bed is that you're not supposed to sleep on it regularly. It's just for camping, because if you try to sleep on it every day for a year, it's gonna break. But I slept on the floor for a year. Like, nice blankets, on the floor. It was nice, and I couldn't believe how comfortable it was. And I had 3 separate female friends, platonic friends, sleep on the floor with me. And all 3 of them commented on how comfortable it was. So enjoy your fluffy bed, Queen Oprah. I'm sure it's like 10 feet off the floor, right? The higher your mattress is, the more important you are, right? That's the kings and queens used to believe. I believe I'm more like the humble Buddhist kind of point of view, where, the closer you are to the floor, the more closer down to earth you are. This brings to mind a story, and I just found it on Wikipedia. The Princess and the Pea. I'm sure Disney will make it as soon as they find out. I gotta copyright it or something. Disney's gonna make that. That'll be the next movie they make. Like Hans Christian Andersen, who actually was the real person who wrote The Little Mermaid, not Disney. The story tells of a prince who wants to marry a princess but is having difficulty finding a suitable wife. Something is always wrong with those he meets, and he cannot be certain they are real princesses because they have bad table manners or they are not his type. One stormy night, a young woman drenched with rain seeks shelter in the prince's castle. She claims to be a princess, so the prince's mother decides to test their unexpected, unwitting guest by placing a pea in the bed she is offered for the night, covered by huge mattresses and 20 feather beds. In the morning, the guest tells her hosts that she endured a sleepless night, kept awake by something hard in the bed. and that she is certain has bruised her. The prince rejoices at her bruised back. A huge wedding takes place in the palace. The prince couldn't believe that he found his true princess. Only a real princess would have the sensitivity to feel a pea through such a quantity of bedding. So the two are married. The story ends with the pea being placed in a museum, where according to the story it can be seen today, unless someone has removed it. So only true royalty have sensitive backs. They're used to sleeping on 20 mattresses, and it goes 10 feet high or 20 feet high. So how does this how does this tangent come back full circle? Well, all of these moral authorities who are all perfect, Oprah Winfrey, Bill Cosby. As far as I'm concerned, Bill Cosby and Oprah Winfrey are the exact same. They're cut from the same cloth. And this isn't racist. There's a lot of others. Ellen DeGeneres, to a degree. I mean, she doesn't try to be perfect, but still, she's a flake. She's doing nothing for the world. But I just put them all under the blanket term, umbrella, moral authorities. And they're all the scum of the earth. And they go all run around saying, you're a rapist, and pointing fingers at each other. And then they're fighting each other. And they're just going to eat each other, just like the Joker said. And I'll just sit back and laugh because I'm not a moral authority. I admit that I'm scum. And you don't win friends with salad. You don't get 1 million followers by admitting you're scum. I understand that. If you want to be a Pied Piper and you want to exploit millions of people, you have to pretend like you're perfect. And I'm okay with that. That's fine. I won't do that, and I'll only have 1 follower. And I'm okay with that. Subscriber, not follower. Because I think I was lucky. I was popular when I was a kid and I was in high school, so I got it out of my system. I don't need that anymore. I've got more important things to do. It's funny because that this one loser commented on me and goes, "Oh, he doesn't have any friends," and I'm like, "What is this, high school? Like, this is a popularity contest? Like, I don't have friends? Who gives a shit? Really? Like, you're 41 years old and you're going around saying, I have more friends than he does. That's lame." And I always remember this great quote by Michael J. Fox, where someone asked him, they said, do you ever feel bad about how you're not like people don't think you're the hot guy anymore? Because he's got his, what is it? His ILF or AFL or sclerosis. I don't know what the hell it is, but it doesn't matter. It's not my job to know what it is. But his answer was, no, it doesn't bother me the fact that I'm not a pinup boy anymore. He goes, I already lived that. I went through that. I was on the cover of teen magazines when I was a teenager. I got that. I don't need that anymore. And I was like, yeah, it's exactly how I feel, sort of. It's like, not that I was as famous as Michael J., but I got it out of my system. I don't need to feel like the hot guy. I don't need to get the hot girl. That's like over. It would be pathetic if I did have that need at the age of 42. Like, I live in Parkdale. It's a burb in Toronto. And there's this one guy, and it's a shithole. It's filled with bums and garbage. Drug addicts, psychopaths, schizophrenics, I mean. Okay, tragic people who have failed and who don't have much. Poor people. I shouldn't say garbage, but a lot of them are garbage. Whatever. And there's this one guy who gets all dressed up when he walks down the street, and he's like, everybody likes him, and he goes to all the popular bars, and I call him the Parkdale Prom King. He's living out. He must have been very unpopular as a kid, because he's trying to be popular now at the age of 40. In Parkdale, of all places. And I say, like, he's like a guy who dresses up like in a tuxedo and then jumps in a garbage bin and eats food, has dinner. And everybody's impressed. Right? All the other maggots are impressed by the maggot that's wearing the tuxedo. Well, great. Good for you guys. Good for you, maggot in tuxedo. I'm glad you're popular among the maggots. I mean, strictly speaking, maggots probably have more friends than most people. They hang out a lot with each other, and they probably get along well. It's like when someone told me, oh, you don't get laid. You never get laid. And I'm like, okay. Well, if that's the definition of being a man, then a cockroach is more of a man than you are. Because I'm sure a cockroach, I don't know the sex life of cockroaches, but I would guess that they have sex more often than most humans, most men. And if getting laid was the judgment was the measure of a man, then Ron Jeremy would be the greatest man who ever lived. And I don't think there's a lot of people who think that. And if there are, then I don't think Ron Jeremy's going to go down in history as a greater man than like William Shakespeare or Picasso or Leonardo da Vinci. I don't think Ron Jeremy. Another thing I realized in the past couple of years, I realized a way of looking at it is that whether you're a success or a failure is more about what your standards, it's all according to what your standards of success and failure are. So, for me, my standards of success and failure is, how many great books am I writing? And how great are those books? And am I writing any great music, like classical music? And how great is that? According to those standards, I've done pretty well. I've written some good books, great books in my opinion, like perfect books. And if I can speed up the process, I can write 20 more at the most before I die at 65, because I smoke and drink. In terms of music, I guess I kind of failed there because I'm not better than Bach. That was my plan, my hope, my goal. But I'm okay with that. I'll be pretty good. And I'll write maybe a couple incredible pieces that are going to be like perfect in my lifetime, and that'll be okay. I didn't really become one of the greatest composers who ever lived, but I did become the greatest writer who ever lived. So that's okay with. I'm okay with that. I'm a pretty good success. Now, somebody else though, if their standards are how much money do I make, or how nice is my car, or how often do I get laid, and I know many of those people, they are failures because they're failures according to their own standards of success, right? Like if your dream is to have a nice car and you don't have one, then you're a current failure according to your own standards. And I believe that there are people out there who think, oh, once I get that nice Honda Civic with souped up hubcaps or whatever the fuck you soup up on those things, and a nice paint job, that's what I'm going to do. One day I'm going to have a middle-class car that's really nice, and then everything will fall into place. I'll get a wife, and, I'll get that job promotion. And they're like, but they don't have it. So you're a failure, buddy. You're walking around telling yourself that you don't have the thing that you want in life. You failed, and the older you get, the sadder it gets that you don't have that middle-class car. Or, if only I had a gorgeous supermodel wife, I would be happy. And I'm victim of that thought sometimes. But if that's really your goal, then, okay, so you're an enormous failure then. Because, Victoria's Secret models are dating lots of guys, but they're not you. They're dating guys that are millionaires and whatnot. So you're also a failure. Your goal should also be to have lots of money, and you're a failure in that regard too. And like a year or two ago, some guy, and he's a moron. There's a lot of morons out there. He's like 55 years old, and he's like talking about how he talks about his life as if he's just starting out. Like, I'm thinking about starting a career in this. Buddy, it's over. And he's like, one time he got mad at me. Okay, I'm 40 at the time, and he's 55, and he's like, all right, well, you're okay living in this shithole dumpster town. That's fine. Live like that then. He's like losing his shit, yelling at me. Look, I don't want to live here for the rest of my life. I want to move up in the world. And you're okay living in this shithole. It's like, okay, look, first of all, I never said I wanted to live in a mansion, right? So you're judging me according to your standards of success and failure. But, I mean, according to my standards of success and failure, I'm fine. I'm doing just fine. And I'm happy to live here forever. And you're a failure according to your it's just really funny. Like, and I guess he's frustrated that I don't value his standards. I don't live by them. And the same guy said to me one time, he goes, I used to think you were a genius, but now I'm not so sure. And I immediately said, I go, that's okay, because I've got enough confidence for both of us. Now I'm going to end this because I could go on for 10 hours, but it wouldn't be, I find that the measure of my happiness, of all human happiness, are you making progress? And if you feel like you're not making progress, you get depressed. So if I work on my book today, I will feel great. I'll feel like $1 million. If I don't, I'll feel like nothing. I'll end this on a Goethe quote that's one of my mottos, kind of. And an interesting thing about Goethe is he doesn't use the word stupid or smart, like stupid people versus good people, the way Nietzsche does or the way I do. Nietzsche talks about stupid people like they're fucking garbage, like they're worms or, whatever. He calls them the masses versus the individual. And I think that's a much more diplomatic way of referring to complete morons and pieces of garbage. Just call them the masses. They're the people who gather and go to concerts and listen to Lady Gaga while she prophesies and leads them off a cliff, Pied Piper styles. But he says, art is not for the masses. Anybody who thinks this is in error. Art is for the individual. And so, I don't need 100 million fans or subscribers, or I need 1 or 2 who are free-thinking people, and that's what it's all about, right? Thought is not for the masses, it's for the individual. And if you write a book, or you create something, or write a song, and you're aiming for 1 million people to love it, then you're in error. You're doing it for the wrong reason. And you're not going to create great art. Yeah. My sympathy to Beyonce, but anybody who thinks Beyonce is a brilliant artist, I feel sorry for them. It's blind leading the blind. I remember a quote by Marilyn Manson. This is back in 2005 or something. I've always hated that guy. I think he's a pseudo-intellectual fraud. And he goes, I think I've proven by now that I have talent. And I was like, all of my hatred for him turned into pity. I'm like, oh my God, you think you've proven that you have talent? That is so sad. This brings to mind some other gold that I learned once. Intentional fallacy and effective fallacy. These are ideas, art criticism ideas. Intentional fallacy being the idea that in order to appreciate a work of art, you have to know the backstory of what the artist was thinking when they made the art. Their life story, what inspired it, what the thought process was. And the argument is that it should be irrelevant. You should be able to judge the work of art based on the work of art and without any other knowledge, exterior knowledge. Effective fallacy is what I'm talking about in terms of the masses. The idea that a work of art can be judged according to how many people love it. So the fact that Britney Spears sold 1 billion albums makes her a great artist. Whereas some unknown person who wrote a perfect song that nobody bought is not an artist at all. Or even the fact that Mozart has been famous for 400 years after his death, that should not have any relevance to your criticism whether he's a good artist or not, because it's irrelevant. And this is a helpful thing to know, I think, especially when people criticize you for not having 1 million albums or 1 million subscribers or 1 million fans or 1 million likes. It's just a ridiculous argument, because all sorts of garbage gets 1 million likes. Have you ever heard of Perez Hilton? The guy's a complete mental retard, but he appeals to mental retards. If you like gays, click like. If you like blacks, comment. If you like women, click notification bell. If you like gay women, subscribe. And if you like gay black women, Patreon, human warnings. Give me